The Saints are in Kansas City under the primetime lights, looking to take down the world champs. Will the Saints' aggressive defense find a way to contain the elusive Patrick Mahomes? Can Derek Carr and company get rolling for a surprise upset in Arrowhead? It is a Monday night showdown in Kansas City. Let the fireworks begin. Welcome into our Saints Game Day Live right here on NewOrleansSaints.com. I'm Erin Summers. It is the first primetime game for the New Orleans Saints this season, 7:15 on ESPN against Kansas City. And that Arrowhead Stadium, it's notoriously loud. So the Saints, they pumped in extra sound at practice this week. They brought in extra speakers, and because it is also the first outdoor game for the Saints this year, they practice outside on their natural grass a couple times this week to get used to the elements. So they're really trying everything that they can to be ready for this big showdown tonight. Well, our John DeShazer, senior Saints writer, is on hand in Kansas City and at Arrowhead. Let's go ahead and check in with JD. John?
When you come for the king, you best not miss. And the Saints will have their opportunity tonight at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, where they will take on the two-time defending Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. And of course, if you're going to beat the champs, you can't decision them. You better be ready to knock them out. So hopefully the Saints have that knockout punch packed with them for this encounter against the Chiefs on Monday Night Football, nationally televised. Now, offensively, you have to start with the Chiefs. And of course, you go with, they won't have receiver Rashee Rice. They won't have running back Isaiah Pacheco, but they do have quarterback Patrick Mahomes, the two-time NFL MVP, three-time Super Bowl MVP, who is the premier player in the league. Now, some of his numbers this season don't exactly sparkle, only 904 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, but his team is undefeated 4-0. The Saints hope to be catching him before he catches fire. And as always, keep an eye on tight end Travis Kelce. Kelce's numbers also a little bit below standard, 15 catches for 158 yards and no touchdowns, but he caught 7 passes for 89 yards last week. He's Mahomes' security blanket, and New Orleans needs to keep track of him. And the Saints must be aware of the speed of rookie receiver Xavier Worthy, the first-round pick, who has 154 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, but he averages 17 yards a catch and has a rushing touchdown. Look for Kareem Hunt in the run game, who they recently signed. Defensively, the best way to move the ball against the Chiefs has been through the air, because Kansas City has a notable secondary in cornerbacks Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson, and safeties Justin Reed and Brian Cook. But the defense allows 228 passing yards a game. That's 10th most in the league. But it's hard to make a living in the passing game when defensive tackle Chris Jones is wreaking havoc, and there are very few havoc wreakers on par with Jones. The 5-time All-Pro has 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, 3 tackles for loss, and a pass defense this season. Now, Saints coach Dennis Allen said this about Jones, who has 29 sacks in his last 37 games. I don't at any time think you have a player that's that talented that you don't know where he's going to be lining up. I don't know whether he's going to be on the right side, the left side. He's going to be inside. He's going to be outside. He's going to be head up on somebody. We don't know that answer. And so here's what we have to be able to do. We have to be able to adjust to whatever it is they're doing. And I'm sure that they're going to try to put him in spots that they think they have a favorable matchup. And we got to remember the Saints are banged up on the offensive line, so Chris Jones will move up and down the line looking for that mismatch. On special teams against Atlanta, the Saints saw how critical special teams play is, because they gave up a touchdown in that phase of the game. It determined the outcome. Mecole Hardman is a dangerous kick returner, but he was questionable for this game. But the weapon for Kansas City is kicker Harrison Butker, who's 8 of 9 on field goal attempts. His only miss was from 65 yards at the end of the first half last Sunday, and he's a career 89% kicker. Now, Aaron, that is it from here at GEHA Field. I'm John DeShazer. Back to you in the studio.
Offensively, it will start with their ability to adjust against Kansas City, and it all comes down to how successful this team is with communication and execution on the offensive line. There will be the fourth different player in at center for the Saints, as last week's center Shane Lemieux hit IR today, and they had to go to the Jets practice squad to pick up Connor McGovern. He is an 8-year vet. He has experience with this offensive scheme and with our offensive coaches. So that will help him have a base knowledge. And look, I talked to him this week. He said he has flashcards made and he is doing everything he can to make sure he's on top of things. His experience as an 8-year vet will be extremely helpful for this offensive line because he needs to be the one that keeps everybody on the same page and gets things going up front. From there, this offense has to stay multiple, and they have to work fast. No Taysom Hill in this one. We're looking at Jamal Williams, Foster Moreau, Juwan Johnson, even Dallin Holker to get going, get more involved in the offensive game plan. Then you got to get Alvin Kamara going on the ground to open up some of those deep shots to Rashid Shaheed. If you can get all of that going, then you might have a good recipe to avoid the Chiefs' defensive leader and defensive tackle, Chris Jones. He has 3.5 sacks on the season, 15 quarterback pressures alone. He got into where he is, and this O-line has to keep quarterback Derek Carr clean. Here's head coach Dennis Allen with John DeShazier earlier this week talking about how a lot of players are going to have to step up into bigger roles tonight. Defending those off-rhythm plays will be important, and it starts with eliminating explosive plays from Kansas City. Defensively, you have to apply pressure up front, speed up their quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, force him into mistakes, quick decisions, and also keep him from dancing. He likes to move around and extend plays. The return of linebacker Demario Davis should help. He is smart, seasoned, and he is an additional rusher. He's really good at getting after the QB. After what we saw last week, definitely want to see more pressure up front and hope that the Saints can capitalize on some of their takeaways. The Saints have 8 takeaways this season. Patrick Mahomes has 5 interceptions, so he is leaving you opportunities out there. The Saints have to capitalize on them. Special teams wise, as I mentioned, this is the first outdoor stadium that the Saints are playing in this year. So for Blake Grupe, the time on the field pregame, going through his reps, his kicks is going to be extremely important for him, deciding what he's feeling as far as the wind goes, the weather, and what he can get out of his kicks. It's also a special game for him because he's from Missouri. He has a ton of friends and family there in Arrowhead cheering on the Saints, of course. Let's get to our list of inactives. We mentioned earlier we're going to be without some of the offensive linemen. Cesar Ruiz is out again for this one. But good news, left guard Lucas Patrick was not listed as inactive. So even though he is dealing with a groin injury, it looks like he's going to be able to go in this one, which should be helpful. Linebacker Pete Werner was a late addition to the injury report this week with a hamstring injury that he suffered in Saturday's practice. He is out. So that's the other impactful player that we were watching going into this one. He is going to be out for this, so it's an opportunity for some other players to step up. It all goes down at 7:15. We are quickly approaching kickoff. ESPN as the Saints take on Kansas City. And if the Saints can get out to a quick start, that will be a good recipe for success. Kansas City has allowed an opponent to score on their opening drive in every single game so far this season, so you got to keep that trend going. The Saints are really excited about being in this primetime game, and I know that the fans are as well. So you enjoy this one, ESPN, and then join us right back here, NewOrleansSaints.com, for our post-game show. For John DeShazer, I'm Erin Summers. Go Saints.